Hey guys, what's going on? You're doing alright today? I hope y'all are doing good. Me and Ruby are trying to finish up here and then we're gonna head home. It's just so humid today after all that rain the last day and a half, whatever. In Kerrville, Texas, it's just mad, humid, wet, muggy, more mess. Leave that watermelon alone. There's a watermelon floating around everywhere. It's pretty bad. Actually really bad, but that's not why I came on. I came on because I really want to talk about something that I've been thinking about this for a couple of days. We talked about it a little bit yesterday's video. I don't know if it's finished loading yet. And I talk about it all the time. Y'all know I play that clip all the time about the front door and all that, the prophet's words, right? Sorry, I'm soaking wet with sweat, guys. Sweating. I got my Rocky Balboa shirt on today, too. I wore white today because it's just so hot. I had to have something cooler. Y'all want to check it out? It's just like a t-shirt. I'm so overly whelmed right now. We've been battling it, I'll tell you that right now. We have been battling it because we left late this morning. We didn't leave early. And now that we're at the end of the day, it's 7 o'clock. We are beat, like literally beat. We did film some footage today though. I will get that loaded. Right now we have Jack and Lily over an hour loading. 2 Sebastian videos, 1 an hour, one I think like, I don't know, 30-40 minutes. Then we have a Idaho 4 loading right now. Suzanne Simpson, Nikki McCann. And then I did one today. I yapped a little bit about that heartbreaking story of this teenage girl that her parents wanted to do the honorary thing to, remember the father tried to take his daughter's life in front of her high school. It's the trials going on right now. I don't think there's anywhere around it for him. It's on video, right? There's really no way to deny it on that case. That's a heartbreaking story of a girl that basically had run away because she knew what was going to happen to her, right? I mean, that's the whole reason for her leaving, is because she felt that that she wasn't going to be alive anymore. And I understand their culture is their culture, but that shouldn't be part of anybody's culture. Just because they don't want to marry someone, give me a break, man. Women have rights here. It's America. You picked Washington, D.C. of all states to do this. One of the toughest legal systems in our entire United States of America, right? And you gonna pick freaking Washington, D.C.? Wow. Could have been anything else. Hey, Monta's husband, remember? Washington, D.C. They never even recovered her body, and he's still locked up forever. And he worked for the damn White House or whatever. So don't tell me that they don't take care of, put justice in real effects over there, Washington. They do. Yeah. He cannot be around her ever again. It will never. And I think she has a young sister. That kind of scared me too. But anyway, enough of that. I already did a video on it. We'll talk about it more another day. But right now, I really wanted to talk about that Sebastian Rogers front door thing, because remember I was talking about on a couple of videos ago. I think it was probably Friday, maybe, when I did the Sebastian video, and I talked about the PI. Remember some of the debunking that video and all that stuff that the PI put out. I've been listening and doing some really deep diving on that particular conversation, because I've always felt like he stretched the truth for the prophets, right? And I could be wrong, and it's just my thought. But one thing that he did kind of shed some light on that, I mean, we've talked about it before, but we didn't really get into it, into it. But when he's asked about, when he starts talking about the camera, right, that points at the front door, the one we're talking about in the one prophet's talking about, when he says that if a figure would have been seen come to my door to put in a code or whatever, you would have saw someone. But, you know, I never really, I mean, I heard it a couple times, but it just didn't really dawn in my head the way it should have, I think. But remember when he made the comment, was asked a question by the Lore Lodge, if there was anyone seen going out of that door that night or that morning, right? And he says, well, it was a couple of days worth of footage. He says, no, that particular, like Sunday, right? Sunday night into Monday morning, that particular 24-hour window, right? I mean, that 12-hour window. He said, no. Nobody was seen go out the front door. So did he really tell on them? Did he not meaning to tell on them? Because, you know, one thing about it is, we can't say he was honest in everything that he said, but he was honest in that question. And that right there, come on, that right there makes me really think about that front door, right? I think it's the back door, guys. I think the Tinkerbell video is going to point to that house. I think law enforcement already knows this. It's just something they can't get their hands around, or something just is not lining up the way they need it to hold up, right? They may have it. They may be 99.999, right? But that prosecutor, we know he's ready to jump, right? We've talked about it before in the election videos. You know, about getting new people to run for sheriff and for office and things of that nature. You know, to get a change, like in the Go Beach, where they brought in a whole new set of elected officials, and 6 weeks later, after that, he had formed that Go Beach task force. What happened? Yeah, Rex Sherman in handcuffs. And a decade and whatever later, nobody could catch him. And that's what I'm saying. Usually the information to solve a case is in the first few days of what investigators gather. In this case, it was the same thing. One of the first ones that they talked to was the roommate of the one girl that he said, a green truck, big ogre man, glasses, crazy hair, big ogre, and gave him that particular style pickup, that Avalanche. And it was there all along. And you know what? That's what I said. Sometimes a fresh set of eyes makes a difference. And maybe that's what I heard through a little Tinkerbell flying around that it's possible that there is someone new looking at it. Now, don't know if that's 100%, but I would say I'm a good 75 to 85% confident to say it, if that accounts for anything, you know. I mean, I'm more than 50%, so that's pretty good. Now, I haven't got the email back from the source itself, but I did get the email from the other individual. So there is a possibility that after April 2nd, that around that time, I was told that someone was placed on it, a new set of eyes was placed on it on the year anniversary. Okay, so if we take that into consideration, February 25th, right, the year anniversary, if they put a new detective on there, right, you got March, so you give that new detective, what would that give him? Less than 30 days. Less than 30 days to be looking at all the information, and then the criminal warrant comes across the radio on April 2nd. Wow. Right? Because you got to remember, February only every so many years has leap year, 29 days. So it's 28, you know, every other time. So you got to take into consideration, that's like right at a month, or a day less than a month, that this guy, or it's right at a month, maybe a month and a day or whatever. I mean, somewhere around the 30-day window, somebody had already activated warrants. Criminal warrants at that. Not subpoenas, like somebody said. We know that ain't true. I done talked to all them people in that court. I know that they don't do it for that. So don't say they do, because those ladies were very nice and answered me straight out. Now, I didn't tell them the reason on the case that I was calling for. I just asked a question about subpoenas versus criminal warrants on how they view it, right? Because every state might see it a little bit different. Not really, but in this case, both ladies I talked to told me the same thing. A subpoena is not going to be a criminal warrant. Okay, good, because that's what it says everywhere else. That's what every detective I've talked to, retired or still active, every law enforcement agency I spoke to, FBI, anybody I spoke to, they all say the same thing. So, you know, that's another one of Proudfoot's lies. But, you know, the biggest one of all, to me, the most important lie in all of this is the front door, right? Because what did she say in the beginning? I don't know why he walked out that door, right? The front door, the front door. He pushed in the code. He must have locked it behind him. It's the only door he could have locked behind him. The door going through the garage was too loud. We would have heard it, said Chris Proudfoot. We would have heard it. If he'd have went out the window, he would have stepped in mulch, you know, barefoot, you know. He would have been like a screaming. We would have heard that too, he said. So for the ones that think he's home, there you go. For the ones that think he wasn't, I don't know. You think about what he said. It came out of his mouth, not ours. He said we. And that could be a habit for me, but I think they've always been about each other. We, meaning him and Katie. I think everything is about them two. Their whole life has been about them two. The choices that she's made have been for Chris. I mean, like allowing him to abuse her child, right? Allowing him to giving away a cat that was Sebastian's, you know, letting him give rid of the snake, letting him throw all his toys in the trash can, letting him forget his belt. Mama, why'd you let Sebastian forget his belt that day? To make him get whacked by Chris. You should have made sure he had his belt. You're the mother. You know, that's the thing. That, you know, parents, that's what tells me right there that he wasn't abusing Katie. Because if she would have been being abused by him as well as Sebastian, she would never have tried to correct him those few times in those conversations about the shoes, because she said, not law enforcement, me. I accounted for the shoes. He was trying to make it like Chris was only trying to tell us law enforcement accounted everything so we would believe him, when law enforcement didn't believe them either. I mean, we got the proof of that from Garrett Craddock. I mean, he clearly made that clear early on the 27th. When he talked to Caitlin or Helen or whatever that girl's name is on the news, when he talked to her, that's exactly what he said. I'm not going to say that's what Mama said about you. I'm not saying that. I ain't going to sit there and lie to you on national TV. That's what I got from that. So if they didn't even believe her about the shoes, you think they believed her about anything else? We know we didn't believe her about the outfit either, because, you know, Eric Craddock's right-hand man, you know, Mr. Wiseman, what did he say? We're worried about the snow flurries because we're concerned. We don't know what Sebastian is wearing. We don't know if he has proper clothing. Okay. What does that tell us? Ain't no sweatshirt and sweatpants. He probably had on blue jeans and a t-shirt. And he probably still did have on a pair of shoes. It probably not be the shoes that he had at the house, but it's probably a new pair of shoes that she had just bought him that weekend. Because those shoes he had on at the Roadhouse looked pretty dang new to me. So did hers. And they sure did look the same. I know some people argue they're different. And they might be right. But they look, I know when I looked at it, they looked like the same shoe to me. So I'm not going to say that they're not the same shoe, because to me they look like it. But I will say about the front door again, because I'm really hyped up about this. I want to go back and listen to some more of this PI guy that paid 15 grand. He might have given us some new information that we didn't realize. He might have just thrown it out there and we kind of took it, but didn't take it as we should have took it, right? Because, you know, when you ask a question like that, you know, you try to dodge in every other question, and he tried to dodge the question, but when he got tongue-tied a little bit, he just told the truth, because that's usually what the brain does. When somebody confuses you a little bit and then hits you with a different question, no, that's not what I meant. And then you're like, you just answer, because your brain is not going to lie. It's just going to answer. Now you have to stop and pause, and like Katie always says, pause, take a breath, or she holds her breath, or, you know, sits there for a minute in silence, sometimes 5, 6, 10, 15 seconds. She's thinking about the next lie she's going to tell. Well, this PI didn't do that. He hadn't been in this case very long. He hadn't had enough time to program his brain like Chris and Katie to tell all their lies that they were telling him, which he probably knew most of what they told him was a lie. Down deep, he probably, if he's any kind of true crime person at all, and does half of what he says he does, I'm pretty sure that he, most likely in the back of his head, thought that they did it. Because, like, what did he say? Hey, if turns out that Chris did this, I'll be the first one to call 911. So that tells you right there, he really didn't believe them either. And that was the guy they were paying 15 grand. Pay me 15 grand, be like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, whatever you say, just write it down, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. He didn't do that. I think he ratted on him a little bit. And there's a few other things that I want to talk about him ratting on too. Because in his mind, you remember, he told us the trash truck was 512. He tried to make sure he gave us the exact times on everything. And he also tried to say that he believes them that Sebastian was seen taking out the trash. But what I want to know is if he has all those videos, right? He remember, I got hundreds of hours, okay? Or 1,000, whatever it was. He had lots of hours, 200 hours, I think, of damn surveillance footage. So did he have the trash can? I guess he didn't have that one because he couldn't confirm it that he saw it. He just said, I believe him. Meaning, I believe Chris and Katie that he was seen taking out the trash. Well, you know who I believe? I believe the biological father, Seth Rogers, the one that's the only one that showed his heart in this. The only one that shows that Sebastian comes first in this. You don't see him going out eating barbecue. You don't see him not going to the visuals. You don't see none of that. You see a lonely, broken man that all he wants to do, only thing right now in his head, the only thing is to find his son. That's it. That's all Seth Rogers. If you say, hey, what's the one thing? He would say, I want to find my son, and I'll never ask God for another thing. Right? All he wants is Sebastian Rogers home with him, his fishing partner, his buddy, his blood, his son, the one he raised for probably 8 or 9 years before Katie decided to run off with Chris, and Chris decided to run off with Katie and leave Nina. They both, neither one cared about anything other than themselves. And I think we see that. All they care about is each other. They didn't care about Sebastian, or they would have never abused him. He would have had toys outside. He would have had normal things like kids do. Normal life. He was high functioning. He could play. He could throw a football with his mama or with Chris. He could kick a soccer ball. He loved to run. Set him up some cones. Soccer would have been one of the best things for this child. Run like the wind, buddy, and just kick the ball. If you miss, you miss. Who gives a damn? But run it all out, right? Set up some little cones for him. Let him kick the soccer ball around. You have a big, beautiful yard. They had no kids' trails in it. No walking paths. Nothing worn down. You know what it reminded me of? The White House lawn. It didn't have a single rut or a kid's path worn. Nothing in that yard. Nothing. No trails where this kid was walking around. Nothing. Not even a bicycle laying outside. Not even an old golf ball laying on the ground. I mean, not a trampoline. Not nothing. Not even a plastic pool from Costco's or BJ's to let this kid do what he loved more than anything. Swim like a fish. Nothing. They did nothing. You go to Seth Rogers' house, what do you see? I guarantee you right now, if you walk into Sebastian's room at his daddy's house, I guarantee you not a one thing has been moved. I guarantee you not a one thing has been touched. It might have been picked up and hugged and put back down because that's the closest things that he has to his son right now. Right? Think about that. And I'm saying that before you go defend the other side, think about these things. Put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in Seth's shoes for just a minute. I mean, I think a blind man could figure this out. I really do. I mean, nothing have they done. You don't see them out there screaming and yelling till they can't even barely talk. I mean, Seth Rogers, the only word that came out of his mouth for probably the first 5 days besides thank you or something about God was Sebastian's name being yelled everywhere he went. Even if he's driving down a roadway, he's got his windows down and he's yelling. And he's blaring Eye of the Tiger and he's blaring music. And all doing this, he's just saying, please, God, let me find my son. Please, please. I'll never ask you for another thing. Just let me find Sebastian, please. You know? And isn't that heartbreaking to think about when you hear it in this way? And then you have, you know, Tweedledee and Tweedledum over there that tell nothing but lies. Their stories are so random that they change on a dime. Mommy can't even talk anymore because she can't keep her story straight. She cannot keep her story straight. And I think that anybody that has viewed her speaking and the first 4 times she spoke realized that every one of those was different. Including the last one. She still added to the last one. You know? And the first thing my mom said, because I was trying not to get my mom into true crime too much because she's got a bigger heart than me and she would probably be bawling and I probably wouldn't have enough Kleenex, right? Which I keep a big stock of Kleenex, believe me. She, like, just seeing pictures, right? And I said, I'm going to play this one clip. And I played that clip to where when she says, I went over here to the school, I went over here, but it was too, remember she was going to say, and my mom said, it's too late, right? That's what my mom, it just came out of her mouth. And I was like, yeah. And then I wanted to show her Seth. I tried to show Chris and Katie a little bit. And then I switched it over to that one interview where Seth was sitting in the car and he had just got out of rehab, I think, and he was in pain in his shoulder and he was very emotional and he was an emotional wreck. Uh-oh, mosquito? He was an emotional wreck. Bawling, crying, like couldn't even hold it together barely. Right, he was talking to some lady from a news channel. And he was sitting in his vehicle. I don't remember who it was or who filmed it. I remember somebody sent it to me and I watched it and it broke my heart. But I showed her a little bit of that one and she's like, that's a parent that cares. And I said, yeah. I said, he's the only one out there actually searching that we've been able to witness, right? Because Seth has had a big support group. You know, it might only been 5 or 10 people, but since the start, he's had a support group. Yes, he might not have made all the correct decisions down the road. You know what? But who are we? Sebastian's not our son. Of course, we want to find him just as much, but, you know, I mean, not every parent that goes through this is going to make the correct decisions. Not every set of parents that goes through this is going to be like Gabby Petito's family, right? Or Riley Strand's family. You're not going to see that in every family because every family handles, especially camera stuff in your face, differently. But the one thing to be straight about in all of these footages is the honesty from these other families. The pure, from the heart honesty, right? They're not trying to say their kids are perfect. They're not trying to say their kids weren't partying in a bar. It wasn't trying to do any of that. Riley Strand's parents never took away from any of that. Of course, they thought somebody spiked his drink because he made the comment of barbecue, but still, all in all, they never, like, you don't talk bad about your child when they're missing, for one, and I think that's what I was trying to get to. That's one of the biggest points to me, that the more they allowed Chris to talk, right, the more they allowed him on these channels, because everybody knew that he was watching every channel that said their name or posted a picture of them or Sebastian. He was reading every comment, reading every message, probably sitting there writing down people's names or their YouTube names for people that were against them. He probably did all that. They probably basically did their own investigation on all the people looking into this case and trying to spread awareness and bring awareness for his stepchild and his wife's child that happens to be special needs, extra special, has the biggest smile in the world, favorite color green, right? I mean, we could go on. He's a gamer. He's a fisher. He's an outdoorsman. He loves to be outside running around playing. He don't like fire ants, and he don't like being outside barefooted. Right? We know that. He can have his moments, just like any special needs child can have their moments. Children with autism can just off the whim do things that normal people don't do. It's okay, because it's normal to them. That's why they're special, right? That's why we need to treat them with extra love and extra care and extra guidance. I mean, it's just so heartbreaking to sit here and have to not see all of them bonded together, going, right? Searching, digging, begging. You have other ones saying, your reward is fake. Oh, Sebastian's a liar. It was 3 stories got merged into one, and then CPS just dropped all of them magically. I took a lie detector test. Pass. Yes. Thumbs up. We're good. I passed. Leave me the fuck alone. And then we find out on Nancy Grace when you took a test. Yes, ma'am. Which, I mean, that thumbs up, I guess Katie thought was a you passed, but it's just a thumbs up to say okay, right? It's not, they never tell you if you pass or fail. And I think a lot of people learned more about lie detector tests during this Sebastian Rogers case. They're not going to tell you anything. Yeah, they're going to give you a thumbs up, you're done, okay. And they, I guess guilty people think, oh, you gave me a thumbs up, I'm good, I passed, yay! Like, no, that's not what that means. Use your damn head. You think he's going to tell you what you did? He don't even know what you did yet. He has a little bit of an idea how many you probably bombed, but he's got to go back and research. And you got to let somebody else look at it to see what they see. Somebody that didn't give the test has to view that too with inside investigation teams. And who knows? It could have went to Secret Service. It could have went all around before. We don't know. But the whole thing is, my point I was making was, he kept telling everybody and telling the world that was already caught on to them from the beginning because they didn't talk for so long. The world was already blaming them before. When they came out, they knew they were already in the hole. They knew they were already being blamed. They knew everybody was pointing a finger. And they came out and tried to defend themselves by making themselves look like good parents and making Sebastian look like a bad, troubled kid that had a special need. But yes, he was violent and he didn't talk much. He didn't have any friends. He didn't like to be outside, but yet he loved to go fishing and loved to do all that stuff with his dad. But yet mom said, and then mom said he don't care about shoes. Seth don't know. Well, I think Seth knows. Because whenever Sebastian needed a shirt for something at school, who did he call? His mom was sitting right there in the car, right there by the store. The dad's 45 minutes away. But you know what? The dad still says he'll buy him the shirt. Right? You get what I'm saying, right? Like, I could have just said, well, you're punished. You know Chris not going to let you have a shirt. Well, I'll call my daddy. He'll buy it. And then sure enough, Katie probably thought, no, he won't. But you know what? He did. Because that's what dads do. They love their kids. You know, you don't see the CPS reports on Seth Rogers, do you? I saw somebody's message that Seth had a live or something. I've never really watched his lives, to be honest. I just don't, I wish I had the time to do it. Like, I don't mind going, but I listen to a lot of his clips from, like, when he did interviews in the beginning. But, you know, after all the drama starts, that's when it's all the stuff you can't trust it anymore. You got to go back to the beginning and look at the raw truth and the raw lies that come out early. And then you got to match that together to build your case. You don't go by after speculation and drama done started. Right? Because they made sure that they started a lot of drama right out the gate to really make this thing go crazy. And you know what? You know who else did this? Daniel from Jack and Lily case. He started the drama right away too. That's a way of them to try to cover up their guilt and put eyes on other people or lock it in on yourself, knowing that you won't break, right? No matter what, I'm not breaking, right? And I think that's what Daniel did, was tried to make his mom and everybody look innocent and kind of like show that, hey, that family was eyeballing me, but hey, I'm good, right? I took my test, I passed. No, you don't know if you passed either. So you get what I'm saying? You see, like, they followed each, you know, I think Daniel and them kind of played a Chris Prophet role a little bit and kind of a Don role a little bitty bit too. Because to me, Daniel and Don are probably two of the same people. Because I still think, for some reason, that Daniel is a pedophile. I don't know why. I just think he's a Stephen Stearns. I hate to say it, but I do think that, and that's my opinion. But I have reasoning for thinking that. I'm not just thinking that. I have reasoning. But let's go this way. We got to get this way. Come on. We got to get to the truck. I'm going to stand here and talk all day. I'm telling you, when it comes to Sebastian, I can talk all day. But we still got to get her all the way across this field here. But I wanted to basically talk about this because y'all know me. I've been stuck on that front door clip for so long. But it's okay, because I'm telling y'all, when all this comes out, that front door is going to be a big part of this case, because I don't think it was utilized at all. And I think now that, you know, the PI has told us it wasn't, Chris has told us there's no way it could have been. So what about, why are they not asking Katie the question now, that why did you bring up the front door in the beginning and swear by the front door, knowing that that camera was pointed directly at the front door, right? I talked to Willie the other day. He's a buddy of mine. He's a retired, just a retired sheriff. He's not an investigator or anything. He actually was one of the ones that got the biggest bust for substances on the highways of Texas highways outside of Austin, Texas. I don't know, probably like 5 years ago. It was like a $4 million bust or something like that. It was crazy. It was like a whole 18-wheeler. He pulled him over for a blinker light, and then the dog went off on the truck. But yeah, you know, he's a good dude. But he did tell me that. He told me, he's like, you know, when it comes to this case, because he's kind of researched it too, because I kind of got him into it, because I kept bugging him about different things in the beginning, trying to ask questions to get better understanding about lie detectors. I mean, I knew a lot, but I didn't know enough, right? You can always learn something new. That's how I see it. Never be afraid to try to learn something new. But you know, he was like, how is she gonna live that down? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, you know, why are they not making a big deal of it? He said, because I guarantee you law enforcement's looking at that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, you don't think the law enforcement, once they realized that that child did not go out of that front door, that's when all the craziness started of, we don't believe this kid got out of this home on his own. We don't think he wandered off on his own. We don't think he went outside. There was no dog trails, no nothing. And he says, what does she have to back that up? Nothing. But what can back up that it's a lie? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, what can back it up as a lie? And I'm like, the camera? He's like, yeah, the Ring camera. He said, don't think they didn't watch that tape. He said, everybody kept saying, well, they didn't have this tape. This one, remember when Chris said this tape? It's so crazy that this tape just recently surfaced, and it could be something. And I don't understand. We got to track it down. We got to get law enforcement together. You know, we have FBI and Secret Service and TBI and Sumner County. We need to get back to the table. That video had been cleared at probably day 10. And then they sent it off just to double check. And it probably took a couple of months to come back and say, nah, it's nothing. It's a man walking his dog. And then, of course, they talked to that man, got his schedule. You see the porch light. You see his front door porch light. Come on. You see the little dog. And if you live in that neighborhood and they knew where every camera was, they knew that that was nothing. But you know what? They lied to America about it. On that show with their buddy, the news lady, the dark-headed one, you know, she is a family friend of theirs, so she is a little partial to them. I don't care what anybody says, she is, and that's okay. That's their friend. That's her friend. That's why that's the only one they really go on and talk to. Hell, they'll let her in the home, and they'll let Chronicles Olivia in the home, but they wouldn't let the other one in their home. They wouldn't let the biggest one of all, America's Most Wanted Missing Persons. They wouldn't let them into Sebastian's room. But they'll let the other ones in their home, the ones they know. That's why they know them. They trust them. They know if they say cut or take that out, they're going to do it. I would like to see the unedited version of all of them. That's what I would like to see. Because she asked them a lot of questions. I know there's hope in there. I know there's this and that. Because they weren't showing no damn emotion. And even she knew, my God, these parents are guilty. I mean, at least that's what she thought in her head, because she kept having to say the things that they should have been saying. Come on. And they weren't. Man, I came out here to do a 15-minute video and get home. And here I am, what, almost an hour late. Oh, 35 minutes, that's not bad. But, you know, think about that. You know, how is she gonna live down that now? Because to law enforcement, that was her story. Her story in the beginning, that's the story they hold you to. That's how important that first story is. That's the story that law enforcement really holds you to. And that's why I think Jen Soto will get in trouble, because of her first statement. Go watch that first one she did on that news with Stern behind her. She lied so many times. She said they dropped her off. We. I knew what she was wearing. I saw her that morning. I heard her that morning. Lie. Even if you say you heard her, you didn't, because she wasn't alive. Nobody really looks at it that way in Jen Soto's case. She lied straight out to the cameras so many times. Tell me you're gonna see what she's wearing. You're gonna hear her in the kitchen when she wasn't even alive. No, it's because I think Jen did it, or at least helped. But I can't prove that, so hopefully they can. But anyway, you know, the reason I talk about Maddie, it happened on the same day as Sebastian. They were both reported missing on the same exact day. So that's why those two have always been close in my heart, because they did happen on the exact same day. But I will say, I would like to see all those little notes, right, and those investigating folders about Sebastian in the first few days. I would like to see all those little investigators' notes. I would really like to see them, because nobody's seen them but them. I mean, not even the family, right? Well, they're not clear, so they're not going to get anything. They're not going to get any of that. They're only going to get what law enforcement tells them or shows them. That's it. I mean, Seth had to be shown the video with him taking out the trash. And even Seth said, like I said in the beginning of this video, you can't tell if that's Sebastian or not. And I bet you if you really ask him to study it and he watched it over and over again right now after time has gone by, he would probably come out and say that it was either Katie or Kathy. I can almost bet you he probably would, if he don't already have that thought in his head right now. I mean, to me, y'all know how I feel. The best video I ever did on Sebastian was when I actually asked Seth if he needed my help. And I know he was already in deals with other people and he couldn't do it, and that's fine. But I'm still here if he ever does want to, you know, team up or anything. Or come when we do, or come when we do a search or whatever, like next week. He's more than welcome to come with us. I mean, that's fine. You know, it's totally up to him. I mean, I'll even buy his lunch, right, if he wants to come help. I'm not big on filming like the other ones, so I mean, yeah, we'll probably film a little, but I'm not going to film a lot of it, because especially when it's a parent, that's, to me, I shouldn't be showing how, you know what I mean? That's at this point, everybody knows that he's emotionally broken. They don't need to see it over and over again. Everybody knows whose side of the coin these people are on. So, I mean, you look at law enforcement, they never mess with Seth, ever. They don't have criminal warrants for Seth's address, right? Think about that. You don't have CPS complaints under Seth's name. You know, evidently he talked a little bit about that, someone said. I know he can't share information. I need to go check it out, because I really want to know what exactly he kind of maybe did bring up about the CPS incidents. I want to know more or less the names, because I figured out how that works now. And if I can figure this out, I will share that with y'all. I know now how they rate these things and how their investigations really go. I sat down with the lady the other day and she broke everything down for me, and on how they proceed with different things and how they view from the first call to the second call to the third call. You know what I'm saying? Like how much, like, because they're investigating this case as well, which a lot of people don't know that, but they are. Anytime there's a missed child, they're going to investigate the case. And now They might not be cleared for the reason of CPS. A lot of people didn't, I don't think, understand how that can work. CPS can beg them, hey, don't clear them. Like, right? But I understand in this case, it would be it would cause a lot of uproar and a lot of headache if they cleared Seth and didn't clear them too. It would cause more of a speculation drama than it would be worth. And the thing is if they don't find Sebastian, they're never going to be cleared, guys. I mean, they might eventually come out and clear Seth Rogers one day. They really might because of video. But they're still trying to run down things, or they would have cleared them by now. That's one way to know if the investigation is really still kind of going on or not, is if they cleared the family. Like, they haven't cleared Don and Candace Wells for a reason, but they're still doing searches, and now they're doing new searches for Summer. I'm hearing that there's going to be a new search for Sebastian. So I don't know exactly when, but I heard that it was coming. And that's why I kind of didn't really want to say much. I just said, hey, I think there's something coming, right? And from what I hear, it's actually going to be, I think, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if that's the case, I will be there. Believe me, I will be there. But anyway, we'll talk more about the front door later tonight. Let us get home. We'll figure it out. I still got, like I said, 5 or 6 videos loading right now. I'll start posting them. Those ones that I loaded this morning at 5, they were done like 2 mornings ago. That's how far behind I am on loading them. Because we have been searching those flood zones, right? So we've been really, really busy from daylight to dark. But as you can see, we're not home and it's still dark. So with that said, guys, y'all have a good one. I gotta get the truck, get out of here. Me and Ruby are tired. Get over here. I don't want them running over you. I forget this is a street that you can drive on. All right. Anyway, y'all guys be safe. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone. Not to affect the channel. We do our research together because we're our big heart little family. Y'all have a blessed good day and night and day, and say your prayers for Sebastian, please. Let's keep the fight for this young man. Let's try to get that big smile found and at least get justice. Keep pushing is all we could do. Keep digging. Allegedly, these are my opinions, thoughts, entertainment. I mean, for entertainment and for education, right? Everyone's innocent until proven guilty, guilty, guilty in the court of law. Trigger warning times 100 million. We talk soon. Love y'all guys. Bye.